Presidential vetoes of the Department of Transportation. In 1817, when President Madison was preparing to retire as the President of the United States, the House of Representatives wrote and passed a bill entitled An Act to Set Apart and Pledge Certain Funds for Internal Improvements. This bill would have laid the foundation for a Department of Transportation. The bill was then passed by the Senate and given to President Madison. On March 3, 1817, President Madison's last act as president, he vetoed this bill. Madison's veto message to the House of Representatives pointed out that the power they were attempting to establish within the bill was not an enumerated power within the Constitution. President Madison explained in his veto message that the General Defense and Welfare Clause, the Commerce Clause, the Necessary and Proper Clause, and the Supremacy Clause were not portals to create a new role, responsibility, or power, or RRP, for the general government to obtain new powers. His concluding words in his admonishment to Congress clearly expressed that as much as he would like to see the power delegated to the general government, only the states could constitutionally delegate this new power to the general government through the amendment process. In 1822, Congress tried again with another bill that would lay the footing for a Department of Transportation. When this act was presented to President Monroe, he also vetoed this act, and in his veto message, he said, quote, "This power can be granted only by an amendment to the Constitution and in the mode prescribed by it," close quote. President Monroe also said, quote, "It has never been contended that the power was specifically granted. It is claimed only as being incidental to some one or more of the powers which are specifically granted," close quote. Quote, "According to my judgment, it cannot be derived from either of those powers nor from all of them united, and in consequence, it does not exist," close quote. In 1830, Congress attempted a third time to create the foundation for a Department of Transportation with President Andrew Jackson in yet another infrastructure bill. To Congress's surprise, even President Jackson vetoed the bill, asserting, quote, "If it be the wish of the people that the construction of roads and canals should be conducted by the federal government, it is not only highly expedient, but indispensably necessary that a previous amendment to the Constitution, delegating the necessary power and defining and restricting its exercise with reference to the sovereignty of the states, should be made," close quote. All three presidents cited the same limitation, that the power is not enumerated in the Constitution. Therefore, the Constitution must be amended for the general government to take on any new role, responsibility, or power. If the father of the Constitution, James Madison, another framer president, James Monroe, and the first Democrat president, Andrew Jackson, all said that the Constitution must be amended to delegate the powers of a Department of Transportation, then where is the amendment authorizing the Department of Transportation? Again, all three presidents cited the same limitation. The power is not enumerated in the Constitution. Consequently, the Constitution must be amended. Furthermore, the Constitution has not been amended, allowing the general government to bypass the amendment process to exercise any new role, responsibility, or power. Instead, the general government has usurped this power. President Washington warned America in his farewell address, quote, "If, in the opinion of the people, the distribution or modification of the constitutional powers be in any particular wrong, let it be corrected by an amendment in the way which the Constitution designates. But let there be no change by usurpation, for though this, in one instance, may be the instrument of good, it is the customary weapon by which free governments are destroyed." By 1849, the states completely forgot their role in restraining an insatiable general government. It was at this time that the end of America's expanse was becoming a reality. Instead of preparing to reduce government and those managing the withering territories to finalize these lands into becoming states, Congress chose to expand government and their RRPs with the management of territories. The general government violated the Constitution and created the Home Department, or what we call the Department of Interior today. By the end of the 19th century, the general government unconstitutionally created the Departments of Justice and Agriculture. In 1913, the general government expanded even more by creating the Commerce and Labor Departments. After almost yearly landmark labor cases from 1914 to 1923, Congress, with the support of President Calvin Coolidge, proposed an amendment to the Constitution. This amendment would delegate to the general government the power to regulate child labor. The amendment stated, quote, 1. The Congress shall have the power to limit, regulate, and prohibit the labor of persons under 18 years of age. 2. The power of the several states is unimpaired by this article except that the operation of the state laws shall be suspended to the extent necessary to give effect to legislation enacted by the Congress." Close quote. This amendment was rejected by the states, and yet today the general government is regulating labor. There is no enumerated power granting the federal government any RRP over transportation, state land, criminal law, agriculture, labor, or whatsoever, and the regulating of commerce was limited to keeping states from taking advantage of other states. Today, the general government has self-aggrandized their powers to include welfare, housing, health care, education, life, marriage, and homeland security. The words of President Madison, Monroe, Jackson, and Washington may be ignored, but the fact remains, until the states delegate the power through a constitutional amendment, those powers not delegated are unconstitutional usurpations. Republic review is the only process that will obtain full compliance to the Constitution by the general government. Consequently, we ask all to learn about the argument for Republic review and its process in forcing the general government back into compliance with the Constitution. As the general government becomes compliant, the states will also be forced to become compliant to the Constitution as well.